everybody to the Single and Stilettos show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm the founder of Single and Stilettos, and I'm also a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette. Today we have as our guest Debi Berndt, and she is the co-founder of CreativeLove.com, and she's also the author of the best-selling book, Let Love In. And today she's giving us the secrets on how you can change your dating life and get engaged in a year. So welcome, Debi, to the show.
Well, it's great to be here, Susan. We've been friends for a long time, and it's so nice to share this time with you again.
I know.
Now that we're on opposite coasts.
I know, and now that you just made this move to Santa Monica, we're on opposite coasts. But yeah. I would love for you to tell our audience how you got started in this business and how you help people find love.
Well, I was a desperate dater for many, many years. I was single till I was 41.
Okay.
And I did a lot of searching for how to find love. I did all the dating tips, and I just felt like there was something inside of me that wasn't working. And so I ended up becoming a hypnotherapist and learning about the subconscious. And then I found my true love. And now I have helped thousands of people. Actually, before I met Roberto, I started helping people because the stuff worked. And I met my true love, and he's also the co-founder of Creative Love. He's my partner in love, and he's my partner in business. And it's just so great to have someone you love work together and build something that you dream about. And so what I found is that just really tapping into this part of your mind that you don't realize is there can really help you accelerate the attraction of your love. And so I decided this is what I want to share with others, because it took me so long to find mine, and I want to speed up the process.
Yeah, and if there's a shortcut, I'm sure everybody wants to know. So
oh, yes.
I'm going to ask you the question that I know our audience is dying to know. Can someone really change their dating life and get engaged in a year?
Yep, I see it over and over again. Actually, all it takes is finding out that one piece that's been, because I think that everyone is consciously or unconsciously choosing to be single for some reason or another. And so if you find out what that is, you can, and become conscious of it, you can make another choice, like what's driving your attraction to certain types of men or women. And you can actually shift and realize why you're attracted to them and what's real true love and what's just infatuation. And by knowing yourself on that deep level, you learn that. And I've seen people meet their partner in 8 weeks and get engaged in a year. I've seen people in 30 days. I have, of course, my program, Get Engaged in a Year. I see it happen all the time. It's just really accelerates the process because you're going deep into the root of what's stopping you from finding the love that you really want.
So what are some patterns that you see a lot of women that they keep repeating that prevent them from, finding love and getting engaged?
Well, it's really interesting. I just came up with this the other day, a way it can be very complicated, the mind. Mm-hmm. But if you think about on a scale of 1 to 10, we all have a range that our heart is open. So you think about 10 being like the Dalai Lama or like Jesus or Buddha. And then you see, someone like a terrorist, they're like at a 1, they're really closed down and in fear. And so we normal people, average people, have a certain, we're not Buddha and we're not, the terrorists. So we have sort of like a gauge of how open our heart is based on, our disappointments with our past and from our childhood. And so you're going to attract someone who has that same level or that same number as you. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you meet someone you're physically attracted to, but if there's a part of you that your heart is closed down and their heart is closed down, it'll be this quick infatuation and then the relationship will die. And so what you want to do is find out why you're holding back, and so you can change that attraction. And so really it's about changing that little piece of the puzzle that is attracting who you are. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. So why is it important for a woman to be really aware of what she wants, what she truly wants?
Well, that's a good question. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll want someone based on what they physically want or based on needs. A lot of people want to get married, not because they want to love someone, but because they want to feel okay or that they want the society to accept them. And then it becomes this looking for this like another character to play a role in their life. And then they, are really, really looking for someone to fill a piece of that's missing in their life. And then other times there's people who are deeply wounded or hurt, like in their hearts, and they're just looking for someone to tell them that they're okay. And so they kind of drive, their attraction is driven by that. And of course, you know what happens in those places. No one can fill you up but you. And so you end up thinking you're attracted to someone because of something physical or their personality, but it's really you're just not even true to like what you really want. And the more you're conscious you are of it, it's not that you have to heal it or that you have to do a lot of therapy around it, but it's just like, oh, that's me, my neediness coming out again. And do I really want this person, or do I want me? Do I want someone that's really good for me? And you really can see that every relationship in your life is a reflection of how your relationship with yourself. So if you're attracting men that are abusive or not calling you or non-committal, you have to say to yourself, well, where am I not non-committal? Where am I not treating myself right? And as you shift your inner relationship, the relationships in your outer life, not only with love, but every area of your life will change. And a lot of people think it's someone special coming in to fix something in your life that's going to make you better. But you have to make yourself better first. Like better relationship with yourself, loving yourself more. And of course you hear that a lot too, right? That you gotta love yourself. But we make those decisions based from our wounds, and then we think that this like gorgeous man is going to like carry us away and make our life better. And what they end up doing is just like we just end up falling apart, after they leave. And so that's not really a healthy relationship. Or to be codependent on someone who doesn't treat you well, and you stay in a relationship way too long.
Right.
And so the more clear you are inside of what makes you tick and what you really want, you're going to attract someone true to yourself, and that's what lasting love is all about. Right. That's where you get engaged in a year, and they don't run away.
So let me ask you a question, because I find a lot of my female clients have lists of what they want in a guy. And I would love to get your feedback on what you think when a woman comes to you and says, I want a guy who makes over $250,000 a year. He must have a master's degree. He must have this. He must have, the entire list. What are your thoughts on that when a woman does that?
That is such a great question. I have a great exercise for people.
Oh, good.
I want everyone to take out their list, and I want to, and everything that you want in a man, it's the things that you think is lacking in yourself.
Ah, that's very
that you're not conscious of.
That's really
You want the guy with money, where do you lack money? You want the guy that's good looking, do you not feel good looking? You want the guy who's sweet and attentive, where are you not feeling attentive to yourself? And it's like all these things. And so we look for the partner to be something for us that we're not even for ourselves. And so you end up attracting someone not for what you want, but what the thing on the other side. And so I want women to do that. I want to write their list and then write down what's lacking in their life. And then they're going to see that the thing on the right is what they end up attracting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really...
And so that's why it's like my list never shows up. Or they kind of show up in the beginning. You think they're everything on the list. And then as you get to know them, they're like, no, they're not that. I thought they were that, because we're actually... initially, when you meet someone, you just see a projection of your ideal of that person. You're not even seeing who they are. And so you're making this kind of fantasy in your mind of who they are, the Prince Charming, and you're trying to get them to fit into that mold in your mind. But then they crumble away, and then you're like, ooh, who does that end up? Who did I end up with? And actually, men do that to us too. Men do that to women. They think she's the greatest thing, and then a woman shows her vulnerability, and if he's not comfortable with his vulnerability, he's going to run.
Exactly.
And the woman thinks, oh, wait, I was too needy. But it's the guy that was really unconsciously needy that he couldn't handle. And so I always tell women, stop worrying about what's wrong with me and say, well, maybe he left because there's something wrong with him, that maybe there's something that he's insecure about, that he's not conscious of.
I'm so glad you said that, because I have so many women that come to me after a breakup, and they always wonder, what did I do wrong? I must have did this, or, something's wrong with me, when it might be him. It might be his own issues. And I'm so glad you said that. So I would love to ask you another question that's along the same lines is, why should a woman stop trying to fix herself?
Well, it's like when you focus on whatever you focus on, your mind will tend to expand on. So if you're like in therapy for years and you're trying to clear your wounds and you're looking at all the things that are wrong with you and your insecurities, it's like your mind just starts seeing more of it. And so what happens is it's good to look at and understand yourself, but there has to be a point where you have to put it down. It's like, okay, I understand now. It's time to, now that let's bring in something fresh. And so what you're really doing in what you should be doing in this type of work, like when you're looking inside or trying to work on yourself, you should just become conscious of what's the patterns that are showing up, and then know that you can create something fresh. What tends to happen, I call it rearranging the furniture, that we keep trying to fix it and rearrange it and it's looking all pretty, but we're still working with the same dysfunction or this idea that there's something wrong. And then, so say you do clear something or heal a wound, you're going to go out and then you're still going to have this idea that you're wounded or you were wounded.
Right.
And so you can never fully be a powerful person if you hold this idea that at one point you were wounded. Right. So it's best to see it from a non-judgmental way and a non-labeling way of yourself, and just say that I'm human. These are things that happen. My parents were human, and it's time to create something fresh. And that's really where you find that real great love in your life, and you stop in that treadmill of self-help, and you're just constantly there and digging up more, and you're just thinking it's never going to end. And I've been there. That's why I was single for so long.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. Is you could keep digging up forever, but there's a point where you have to move on. But one of the questions I want to ask you is about repeating patterns, because I see this all the time with my clients. And I think when people are in it, they don't notice that they're repeating patterns. And do you ever suggest that your clients look back at their past relationship history and see what patterns they've been repeating?
Yes, absolutely. That's actually one of the first things we do, is look at the pattern. And then it also starts, like the work we do is kind of a little deeper with the, we call it the inner Adam for women and the inner Eve for men. And the inner Adam is basically your mate picker unconsciously. And so you think about it as a file of all your ideas about men, from your dad through every man in your life. And every time you get into a relationship, your subconscious just brings up that file. So you're not even seeing that person. You're just kind of acting the same way. And not the qualities in a man, but how you relate in that relationship. Like what role do you play in that relationship? How do you feel with that man? And so a lot of people are looking for these qualities in a person, but what you're really looking for is an experience with a person, right? You're not going to like hang, like he's not a cardboard person that you're going to like, he looks good next to me. You want to have this connection and this experience. So you have to look at not only the pattern of, I only get lawyers, or I always get guys that leave, but it's like, well, what role do I play? One pattern that I uncovered, which was right before I had my biggest breakthrough, was that I never ended a relationship. It would just dissolve away. Every time, whether it was a year or whether it was 3 weeks, if the guy stopped calling, I would just let it just end. I would never confront them. We never had closure. And I was like, oh my goodness, I noticed I did that with every relationship in my life. And it showed my inability to communicate. And I was like, oh. And so then when I started working on that and started actually verbalizing what I wanted, everything started to change. And that's when I met Roberto. Because it could be something really subtle that you notice that pattern, and then you can change it. But the pattern's always in front of you. It's always there. And so that inner Adam is going to just keep recreating it with the men that fit with your little piece of the puzzle. And he has a little inner Eve. So it's kind of like you guys fit together and you kind of repeat the patterns with each other, and then you run away and you're just like, why didn't things ever work out? And I meet so many men that have the same problem. They're really nice guys, but they keep attracting the wrong woman, and they're like, why do women keep leaving, or why do women keep cheating? And so then every woman they meet, they kind of almost assume that. And so they're always on guard, and so it's kind of like dynamic just keeps repeating itself. Right. But you can change it. It's just, that's the first step, is to kind of be aware of it, and then to know, like, where does it come from and why do I believe that? And one of the techniques I do is I have people meditate and go into their subconscious and actually change how they relate to a man, like visualizing themselves having a different dynamic with a man. Like if they have a trouble speaking up, you can actually imagine yourself talking to the man and exchanging love, and then it actually changes the subconscious. And so the next time you're in a relationship, you won't repeat that pattern, and you'll be attracted to someone different as well.
Right. No, that's great. I love that you do that.
I'm throwing so much at you. I'm sorry.
No, I think this is great for my audience. So, what would you say to the woman? Because I hear this all the time. I've tried everything. I just don't think Mr. Right is out there. So, you know what? I'm just happy being single. What would you say to the woman that says that to you?
I hear that a lot.
I do too.
And especially women that are successful, because they kind of have
Exactly.
that, I'm good, But what really is that there's a part of them, and this happened with me, that I wouldn't cross a line I wouldn't cross with the work of personal development.
Mm-hmm.
There was I did enough, I kept doing enough and kept looking, but there was a place that I would always avoid,
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't go directly through, something I was afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like that idea, well, I guess I'm single. It's almost like we'd rather stay single than walk through that fear. And
Sure.
so it could be a fear of facing something you've been afraid of, or opening your heart. And so for me, that's a defense mechanism
Mm-hmm.
of a woman, woman or men, that just shut off, and they just rather not go through that. And it's really just a misunderstanding that you're this little human, that someone can hurt you in any way, that you're just not that little, not that fragile. We're so powerful, and we forget that there's that part of us that can be in a relationship that's powerful, that doesn't have to crumble when someone leaves, or that someone's going to make us their whole life. We are this beautiful person that we really can enjoy a very balanced relationship with all that, without all that fear. And until you go through that one little piece of that fear barrier, you can't. On the other side is so much of your greatness. And so I invite people that have given up to say, where did I stop in the process? Because there's a lot of people that will do a lot of work for years and years and years, but they know that there's a part that they didn't give it 100%. And they'll be like, oh, I didn't want to do that exercise, or
Right.
I want to skip over that, and I don't need to do that. I worked on that before. And then it's really a way to keep you the same.
Right. And it's about facing your fears, and,
Mm-hmm.
it can be really, really hard. And I notice as you get older, it's even harder to face those fears. But if you really want to change your dating life and get engaged, and I don't believe that anyone that says to me, oh, I'm fine being alone, because I know deep down they really do want to find the right person and have a relationship with somebody. So,
I usually ask them when they tell me that, I'll be at a trade show or something, and I'll be
mhm.
at a business event, and someone will be like, oh, you have love. Well, I don't need a relationship right now. And I said, well, what are you so afraid of? And they're like, I'm not afraid. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, you are.
Because I go, people, and I say to them, people who say they don't want a relationship really don't. They do want a relationship.
Yeah.
They don't go around telling people I don't want a relationship. So it's this is something that you have to look at, and people lie to themselves all the time to stay in their comfort zone.
Exactly.
And your comfort zone is the same. You get the same result over and over again. And so even for hiring someone like you, a matchmaker, to go and I'm going to go put myself out there, it's very scary to a lot of people. I mean, that is something. You know how many people that I've helped find love, they did all the inner work and they would just sign up for something, and it was like that last piece, yes, I'm serious, that broke through the barrier, and they would meet someone right away because they made that choice. And so we're hiring a love coach or a dating coach, just kind of saying yes and telling the universe, I'm serious now. I'm ready for this. But I hear every excuse in the book to get away from it and run away. And it's so much easier to stay single.
Oh, I know. And I hear the same thing all the time too. And, I'm glad you brought that up about working with a dating coach. It's a dating coach is going to hold you accountable, because I hear all the time, oh, I don't need a dating coach. A dating coach is going to hold you accountable, whereas you may say to yourself, if you're not working with a dating coach, oh, I don't need to, like you said, I don't need to do that. But you and I will keep pushing them along to make them go outside their comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I want to say too that a lot of people think that using a dating coach or a love coach or doing inner work, that there's something wrong with them if they do that. And it's really if you think about an athlete who goes to the Olympics, he's not going to go and, oh, I can figure out the high bar on my own. He hires a coach. It's
Exactly.
If you want to win the gold medal in love, I mean, you have to hire professionals because we're trained as humans to have dysfunctional relationships. We're not trained to have great love in our life. So we need someone to kind of master this if this is something you really want in your life. And just because you're single doesn't mean you're broken.
Yeah.
You really are not broken. It just means that a lot of times that you haven't settled. If you look at a lot of the married people around you, are they really that happy? It's just like, check it out at the next barbecue and all your friends are bragging. You can see their husbands, cracking the beers and being bored, and the wives are complaining about them. And you're like, is this the marriage I really want, or do I want something great? So.
Right. Now, I know you've worked with a lot of singles on getting engaged in a year, and you actually have a program called Engaged in a Year, and I would love to hear, and I know my audience would love to hear, like a couple of your success stories, really great success stories. I can't even speak tonight.
Well, one of my famous one is a woman I actually was on a reality show with her. She was a star in a reality show in New York. And she met her husband 8 weeks after we started working together.
Oh my goodness!
And it was like, it was just that we worked on the unconscious piece. Like, she did a lot of work on herself, and she read a lot of books, and she was just like, I really want to get this straightened out. And the guy was actually in her building. He was a neighbor of hers, but she didn't notice him because the mind will only show you what you're ready to see. And so the person could be around you right now, your love, and your blinders are still on. And so she, opened her eyes and started, it's something, he was not really her type normally. And she opened herself up to someone new, and they just got married 2 years ago, actually. This was a couple years ago. Yeah, and she keeps sending me, it's our 1 year anniversary, and it wouldn't be without you. But it really happened really quickly. Another woman, really quickly, she came to one of our seminars, and the same thing. She called me like a couple weeks later, and she said, what did you do to me? I don't know what you did to me. I did all this work on myself for years. And she goes, something happened inside of me because the man I ended up being with has been in my life for 20 years, and I just got engaged. And just really, wow, like how fast that happened just from changing inside. And so the love you're seeking is already around you. I always want to tell people that it's so close. There's like a thin veil. It's like so thin. If you could just peel away with using your mind, you could peel away. And of course you have to take action. You have to go out and date, but it's so close, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. And
those are some great tips. So Debbie, can you give us your best dating tip for women?
Well, I always say you attract what you feel and how you feel. So the best way, instead of trying to act a certain way or do certain things with your body, you could use your mind. And so think of 3 adjectives that you want to be and present to the world. And they're all qualities you have within yourself, even if you don't think you do. So, for example, it would be sexy, confident, and beautiful. And so you think, I am sexy, I am confident, and I am beautiful. And it may sound kind of like an affirmational kind of thing, but you'd be surprised at just holding that in your mind and then going out into a social event, how you're just going to get so much more attention. I had a client do this at a dating speed dating event, and she never gets any attention. And she said, like 19 of the 20 guys she met all asked for her number, and she was like, "Oh my God!" So she's like, "Never happens." And one of them ended up being her husband. So turned out to be her husband. So yeah, it's really cool. And really, it's just to know that you can create the perception of what people think of you with your mind. And so it's very, very powerful. And just to remember that you're always in control of what people think of you, because it's what you think of you.
Right. No, and I completely agree. It's about changing your mindset. So that's a great dating tip. So now, how can our audience find you?
They can go to creativelove.com, and we are getting a new website together. So I don't know if they're going to have it in time, when they see this interview. But it's amazing. We have a lot of tools on there. They can actually sign up for a free video course, and I have information about my Engaged in a Year program there. And they can actually get a free love consultation with one of our love coaches to find out more about the program. There's no obligation. So if they're interested in getting engaged and they want to come and find out more about it, definitely we offer that free service for them, because we want everyone to find love.
Exactly. And I think every lady out there wants to find true love and get engaged in a year. So, and stop wasting time.
We do have some men in our group too. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much, Debbie. And thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stiletto show. And if you're listening to the podcast, if you would prefer to watch the video interview, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you would like to get our free report on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off, you can go to singleandstilettos.com, or you can click right here on the video.